Hey there, my fellow lunatics, and welcome to Dakon's Madhouse. Hey there, my fellow lunatics. Today we are going to be making a fungal soil farm. Now let's go ahead and get started because this is one of my more complicated ones. So first thing, this farm is going to be taking place in 8 spawn cells. Now I haven't split this thing up like I have some of my other farms where everything's in the middle. I'm actually going to be taking up the entire spawn cell for all 8, every single tile. Now if we take a look at our chart here, we see that mushrooms are going to give us a 99% chance at 21 tiles. We need 44 tiles in order to get our Shrooman, and we need 256 for a 72% chance for the brutes. To be honest, I'm not worried about the brutes. It's the Shrooman here that I care the most about. So for this build, you are going to need 1,000 robot arms. Yeah, I know it's a lot, but trust me, you need them all. 31 electricity generators, 768 fungal soil, 768 spike traps, 248 conveyor belts, 3 electrical wires, and a double chest of your choice. You're also going to want some walls to surround your mob farm with. I'm using desert temple blocks. Use whichever ones you prefer. Just make sure you've got enough to cover everything. Now I've got this thing kind of segregated out with my floor tiles to give me a visual help, but you don't have to do this. You could have any ground tile you want. But if you want to separate it out, you're going to do 2 of one tile type, then 2 of a different one, 3 of your first type, 2 of your second, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 2. This will cover all of both spawn cells. And what we're going to do here is on my dirt tile ones, I'm going to start by placing fungal soil. And I'm going to do this on all of my 2 tile dirt ones. Note, I'm not putting it on the 2 on the edge here. Other stuff's going there. I just want it on these 2 tile ones that are dirt. And I'm going to go all the way down. So give me 1 second. We'll be right back. And one of the problems with fungal soil farms are these mushrooms. Because once one grows, then that tile will no longer be usable for spawning. And as time goes on, more and more tiles will get covered up with mushrooms. So you need to make sure that those mushrooms get broken. To do that, we are covering all of our fungal soil with spike traps. So once you finish putting down all of your fungal soil, instead you're next going to start putting down all of your spike traps on top of all of that fungal soil. Once that's done, then we start with our massive amount of robot arms. What you're going to do is first you're going to have a set of robot arms that are facing the inside, just like this. And then on the other side, you're going to have another set also facing on the inside. So the goal is to have 1 robot arm over every single one of these spike tiles. This is the main reason why you're going to need so many robot arms. There is another reason, though, that we'll get to in a second. So first, cover every tile adjacent to your spike tiles with robot arms, with the arms facing inward toward the spikes. Now, once you've got all of your robot arms down on both sides, you're going to want to go to the opposite end that you want your conveyor belts to be. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is, in my case here, my central area is up, this spot where my waypoint is. So all of my conveyor belts are going to be moving my loot up onto this middle area and then over. So what I need to do here is I need to go down to the very bottom of my map, since the top is where everything's being received. Now, if you have this a different direction, you may need to go to the left, you may need to go to the top. It really doesn't matter. You just gotta know you're on the opposite end. Place down an electrical generator right next to each and every single bottom conveyor belt. This is going to give a whole bunch of them power, but it's not going to power every one of them. And that's where all of these extra robot arms are coming into play. Because if you look here, we get power going all the way to about, oh, here or so. It's around 24 tiles or so. So what we're doing now is we're going to take our conveyor belts, and in my case, I'm turning them up to the north, and I want everything to be moving up in this direction. So all my loot is going in this one direction. I'm going to do this until I get about 30 or so of these things placed. So I know this is a little hard to see with all this chaos, but at this point, you should have conveyor belts going down pretty much every single one of these little rows here, 30 deep. Now, once you're about 30 deep, that's where you're going to place another electrical generator. But here's where the problem comes in, because you need this electrical generator in order to power everything. But at this point, any of the loot is just going to get pushed to this generator and stopped right here. So what do? Well, that's where the rest of these robot arms come into play. You're going to face the robot arm in the direction of the electrical generator, and you're going to place one down. Now, what's going to happen is this robot arm is going to grab anything that goes into the tile for the electrical generator, and it's going to move it back to the tile behind this robot arm. But unfortunately now, the tile where the robot arm is now blocked. You've got a robot arm to the left of it and a robot arm to the right of it, and anything that gets moved over from those two robot arms is just going to get stopped at this robot arm and go absolutely nowhere. So for that, you need another robot arm behind it, and another robot arm behind that, and another one behind that, and another one behind that, and you just need to keep going until you reach the very end of your mob farm. And then you're going to repeat that process in every single one of these rows. First, you place down an electrical generator, then you place down the robot arm, and then you just keep placing down robot arms until you get all the way to the end. If you want to save money on robot arms and use conveyor belts instead, you can go a little bit further than I went. You could probably go 35 or even 40 tiles before you actually switch to the generator and switch over to doing the robot arms. I chose 30 arbitrarily. There really was no rhyme or reason behind it. It was just the number I picked. So if you want to save yourself a little bit of scarlet, go a little bit further before you put down that second generator. You just got to make sure that all of your robot arms are fully powered. And yeah, this looks like a giant chaotic mess, but it will harvest everything and pull all of it to the back end here. Now we also have to finish powering everything. So once you reach the top, you then have to go and place another generator down, kind of where you placed all of your bottom generators on each left and right facing robot arm section. They all need their own generator because we're not using wires in between these spike traps to power anything. If we do that, there's a risk that the spike traps will break the wires. That's why we're not using any wires in this build. Make sure you place your final robot arm that's facing down next to the electrical generators, because if you don't, then there will be items that get stuck. You need to make sure that everything runs flush with the final conveyor belt that you're putting in here at the top or bottom, depends on how you have yours put together. As you can see how a bunch of these are starting to move. These were all items that got stuck because I'd put conveyor belts down there instead of robot arms, and they couldn't move forward. So don't make my mistake. Put robot arms here. Now I'm going to turn my conveyor belt to the right, and I am going to just do this and just pick a spot randomly, whichever one you prefer, and leave a gap. And then after your gap, change the direction and have all the remaining conveyor belts just heading toward this one blank spot right here. Okay, so once you've got your gap here, you're going to take your wires and you're going to place one down next to the electrical generator. I know it's hard to see, but it is right there. You're going to place another one in the gap, and you're going to place a third one above it. Then you're going to take your final conveyor belt, and you're going to turn it away from your mob farm and place it in that gap, so that all of your loot is ultimately going toward this one wire spot right here. What we're going to do at this point is we can start covering up our walls. And then if I take my robot arm and I turn it to face toward the walls and toward the mob farm, and I place it right above where we have got the conveyor belt that's coming up, I'll have a powered robot arm, and then I can place my chest behind it, and I don't have to worry about anything. It's got power, it's happy, it's good. If I wanted to give it extra power, I could put an electrical generator right where I am here, and I wouldn't need the wires. But we've got so many generators, I figured I'd save at least a couple resources and just use the wiring instead. At this point, we're ready to pretty much close up the farm. But before we completely close it up, we do have these two little gaps right here where mobs can kind of hang out and stay alive and nothing's happening to them. So we want to seal that up. Go ahead and just place 2 walls down in each one of those spots so that nothing can get through to your conveyor belts and everything that you want to die stays trapped within the death area. Once you have that down, go ahead and start filling in the rest of your surroundings and close off your base. You're going to have to do that gap fill-in part at the bottom as well. Now, a couple of caveats and details here. You may notice, like right now, it's really hard to see with all this red, but there is a mushroom right here on the screen that isn't being broken. This will happen periodically. You might actually see a couple of them on the screen here. There's a few in each row. Now, yeah, they aren't getting broken right away, but as soon as a brute or a mushroom or someone else happens to roam by, this trap is going to trigger and it's going to pop that mushroom. So it may sit there for a little bit, but it's not going to be sitting there forever. And this will happen periodically with your mushroom spawns. Sometimes the trap will break it, sometimes the trap won't break it. You may also ask yourself, does this thing work for brutes? And the answer is yes, it does. Even though it's only doing 1 point of damage to them at a time, it does slowly, very, very slowly whittle them down and make it so that you will eventually kill them. So this farm does work on brutes too. The key is just not getting them aggroed so they don't run around smashing everything. And that is everything for this farm. And I know it does just look like a sea of red, but this farm will produce all the mushrooms and loot from the mushroom men that you need it to produce. Now, what is that loot exactly? Well, the Shrooman are going to drop you some mushrooms, some scraps, fungal soil, some various seeds, ancient gemstones. You could get a giant mushroom from it, the Shrooman cap, the witch doctor set. During Easter, you'll get the brown egg, and during Christmas, you can get the Santa Shrooman figurine, the festive hat, some snowballs, and cookies and milk. The Shrooman brutes also give you mushrooms, giant mushrooms, stone skin potions, ancient gemstones, witch doctor stuff, the Shrooman brute figurine, and you'll also get the same holiday gear from them. And that's it for this fungal soil build. So if you have any questions, please be sure to leave them in a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and stay happy, stay healthy. Till next time, stay crazy, my friends.